At the shooting range, young soldiers took turns laughing and joking after each round of shots. A brown-haired woman sat quietly in the back row, unnoticed by anyone. A captain gestured dismissively and handed her the heavy Barrett M107. "Go ahead, let's see if you can even lift it." Laughter erupted from the crowd. But when she calmly raised the rifle, silver glinted as something fell from her pocket, a medal clearly engraved with 427 eliminations. The entire range fell dead silent. Her name was Reina Vasquez, 32 years old with long brown hair that she kept in a regulation military bun. She had a compact build that made her appear smaller than she actually was, and gentle eyes that held depths of experience most people never bothered to notice or understand. Reina worked as a technical logistics specialist at Naval Special Warfare Command, responsible for maintaining weapons systems, coordinating equipment distribution, and ensuring that ammunition supplies were properly managed during training exercises. Her position required attention to detail and organizational skills, but to most of the SEALs and Special Operations personnel who trained at the facility, she was simply support staff. To the elite warriors who dominated the advanced training programs, Reina was part of the background infrastructure that made their operations possible. She was the person who distributed ammunition before exercises, who cleaned and maintained weapons after training sessions, and who ensured that equipment was properly inventoried and secured. "She does good work with supply management," said Petty Officer Martinez during a conversation with his SEAL team, "but obviously she doesn't have experience with actual combat operations. Her job is logistics support, not tactical operations." Chief Petty Officer Thompson was more dismissive in his assessment. "Look, she's competent with paperwork and equipment tracking, but when it comes to actual weapons handling and marksmanship, that requires years of specialized training that support personnel don't receive, different skill sets entirely." During intensive training sessions, groups of SEALs would compete to achieve the highest scores with various weapon systems, often making jokes about having a supply clerk managing their ammunition distribution. They assumed that Reina's knowledge was limited to counting rounds and filling requisition forms. Reina never corrected these assumptions or tried to educate the operators about her background and qualifications. She simply focused on her assigned responsibilities, ensuring that every weapon system and piece of equipment under her care was maintained to the highest possible standards. But what the elite warriors didn't see were the small acts of expertise and care that Reina provided beyond her official duties. She regularly helped new personnel properly adjust their tactical gear, ensuring that their equipment was configured correctly for optimal performance and safety. Her technical knowledge seemed to go far beyond what logistics training would provide, but she never made a show of these skills. When soldiers experienced equipment malfunctions during training, Reina would quietly assist with troubleshooting and repairs, often identifying problems that more experienced operators had missed. She never took credit for these contributions, simply ensuring that training could continue without interruption. She maintained detailed personal knowledge of each weapon system's performance characteristics, noting subtle variations that could affect accuracy and reliability. This attention to detail often meant the difference between successful training exercises and equipment failures that could compromise learning objectives. In her jacket pocket, Reina carried a small silver medal that had been with her for several years. The medal was worn smooth from handling, and engraved on its surface was information that would have stunned anyone who understood its significance. 427. Eliminations confirmed. The medal was more than just recognition. It represented achievements in precision shooting under combat conditions that placed the holder among the most elite marksmen in military history. Each elimination represented a verified enemy combatant neutralized under hostile conditions, a level of battlefield effectiveness that very few soldiers ever approached. She would touch the medal sometimes during quiet moments, remembering teammates who had depended on her precision shooting to survive dangerous missions and return safely to their families. One time my scope was misaligned and I almost shot at the wrong target. She just glanced over and adjusted it. I avoided serious trouble because of that look. New recruits' testimony. The test session began on a bright Thursday morning when the Naval Special Warfare Command had organized advanced marksmanship training with the Barrett M107, one of the most powerful sniper rifles in the military arsenal. The .50 caliber weapon was designed for long-range precision shooting and required exceptional skill and physical strength to operate effectively. The training exercise was designed to evaluate the capabilities of SEAL team members who were being considered for advanced sniper roles. The M107 was notoriously difficult to master, with recoil that could injure inexperienced shooters and accuracy requirements that challenged even the most skilled marksmen. Throughout the morning, various SEAL operators took turns demonstrating their marksmanship with the heavy rifle. The atmosphere was competitive and confident, with experienced warriors showing off their skills and discussing the technical challenges of long-range precision shooting. Captain Rodriguez, the senior training officer overseeing the exercise, had been observing the session when he noticed Reina sitting quietly in the back of the observation area, taking notes on equipment performance and ammunition consumption for her logistics reports. "Hey, Vasquez," Captain Rodriguez called out, gesturing toward the Barrett M107 on the firing line. "Why don't you give it a try? Let's see what our logistics specialist can do with a real weapon." The suggestion was clearly meant as entertainment, rather than a serious evaluation of marksmanship skills. The other SEALs gathered around with obvious amusement, expecting to witness an embarrassing demonstration of the difference between support personnel and combat operators. "Sir, that rifle weighs 30 pounds, laughed Seaman Johnson. "She probably can't even lift it properly, let alone fire it accurately." Petty Officer Davis was more direct in his skepticism. "Who gave her permission to handle that weapon? The M107 can seriously injure someone who doesn't know proper firing techniques. This isn't a training exercise for support staff." But Captain Rodriguez was insistent, perhaps thinking that a failed attempt by Reina would provide a teaching moment about the specialized skills required for advanced marksmanship. "Come on, Vasquez. Just one shot. Show us what you've learned from watching all these professionals." Reina approached the firing line with obvious reluctance, not because she was intimidated by the weapon, but because she understood that her performance would reveal capabilities that she had deliberately kept hidden during her time in logistics assignment. As she picked up the Barrett M107, her handling of the weapon immediately suggested familiarity that went far beyond casual observation. She checked the rifle's safety mechanisms, examined the scope settings, and positioned herself with movements that demonstrated professional training and extensive experience. "How does she know the proper handling procedures?" whispered Chief Thompson to his assistant instructor. "Those aren't techniques you learn from logistics manuals." But it was when Reina settled into a prone shooting position that something unexpected happened. As she adjusted her position to accommodate the rifle's weight and recoil characteristics, a small object fell from her jacket pocket and landed on the concrete with a metallic clink. Seaman Rodriguez, who was standing nearby, bent down to retrieve what appeared to be a military medal or commendation. When he looked at the inscription, his expression changed dramatically. "Holy shit," he whispered, staring at the medal in his hand. "This says 427 eliminations, confirmed." The effect of those words on the assembled SEALs was immediate and electric. Every operator present understood the significance of what Rodriguez had just announced. Confirmed eliminations represented verified enemy combatants neutralized under combat conditions, and the number 427 indicated a level of sniper achievement that was legendary within special operations circles. "Let me see that," demanded Captain Rodriguez, taking the medal from Rodriguez and examining it closely. "This is a Kraken unit commendation. These are only awarded to snipers who have achieved the highest levels of combat effectiveness." The silence that followed was deafening. Kraken unit was one of the military's most classified special operations teams, known for conducting the most dangerous and sensitive missions in military history. Members of Kraken Unit were among the most highly trained and capable operatives in the American military. "Ma'am," Captain Rodriguez said, his tone changing completely as he addressed Reina with newfound respect. "What's your actual background? This medal suggests service record that goes far beyond logistics support." Reina looked around at the faces of SEALs who now viewed her with confusion and growing respect. For several years, she had successfully hidden her combat background, living quietly as a support worker while trying to process the trauma and loss that had led her to step away from active operations. "Sir," she replied simply, "I prefer not to discuss my previous assignments. I'm here to support current operations, not to revisit past missions." But Captain Rodriguez was insistent. "Vasquez, if this medal is authentic, you're one of the most accomplished snipers in military history. Why are you working in logistics instead of training our best marksmen?" The question hung in the air as everyone present tried to understand how someone with such extraordinary combat achievements had ended up in a support role, apparently content to remain unrecognized and underutilized. "I saw her hands on the trigger, no shaking. Those were the hands of someone who had lived and died by every shot." Range technicians account. What happened next would become one of the most talked about demonstrations in the history of Naval Special Warfare Command. Reina Vasquez, the quiet logistics specialist who had been dismissed and overlooked by elite warriors, was about to demonstrate marksmanship skills that would leave everyone present questioning everything they thought they knew about expertise, service, and the relationship between current roles and past achievements. Captain Rodriguez made a decision that would reveal the extraordinary truth about Reina's background. "Vasquez," he said firmly, "I want you to take that shot. Show us what that medal represents." Reina settled behind the Barrett M107 with movements that demonstrated professional competence and extensive field experience. Her positioning was flawless. Her breathing was controlled, and her preparation routine followed protocols that suggested years of training under the most demanding conditions imaginable. "Target is at 1,800 meters, announced the range instructor, setting up one of the most challenging shots attempted during the entire training session. "Wind is variable, atmospheric conditions are standard." The assembled SEALs watched in fascination as Reina made minute adjustments to the rifle's scope, calculated environmental factors, and prepared for a shot that would test the limits of both weapon system capability and shooter skill. Her approach was systematic and methodical, demonstrating knowledge that went far beyond basic marksmanship training. "She's using advanced ballistic calculation techniques," observed Master Chief Peterson, a veteran sniper instructor with over 20 years of experience. "Those are methods taught only in the most specialized programs." The first shot, when it came, was perfect. The .50 caliber bullet struck the center of the distant target with precision that would have been impressive for any military sniper. But Reina wasn't finished. Without being asked, she fired 3 more shots in rapid succession, creating a grouping so tight that experienced marksmen would have been proud to achieve it under ideal conditions. "Jesus Christ," whispered Petty Officer Martinez, staring through binoculars at the distant target. "All 4 shots are within a 6-inch circle at 1,800 meters. That's impossible shooting for anyone except a Kraken Unit sniper," completed Captain Rodriguez, his voice filled with awe and recognition. "Vasquez, you're Silent Hawk, aren't you?" The revelation hit the group of SEALs like a physical shock. Silent Hawk was legendary within special operations circles, known for precision shooting achievements under impossible conditions, and for missions that had saved countless American lives during classified operations. "Sir," Reina replied quietly, her voice carrying the weight of memories she had tried to leave behind. "That's not a designation I've used for several years." But Captain Rodriguez was processing the implications of having one of the military's most accomplished snipers working unrecognized in his logistics department. Silent Hawk's service record includes some of the longest confirmed kills in military history, achieved under conditions that most people cannot imagine surviving. As word of Reina's identity spread through the group, The SEALs who had been making jokes about supply clerks and support personnel found themselves confronted with the reality that they had been dismissing someone whose combat achievements far exceeded their own. "Ma'am," said Seaman Johnson, his voice barely above a whisper, "we owe you an apology that we can never adequately express. We had no idea about your background or your service record, but it was Master Chief Peterson who best understood the significance of what they had just witnessed." "Silent Hawk," he said with obvious respect, "your combat record shows operations that saved entire SEAL teams from ambushes and hostile situations. How many lives did you save through precision shooting during your active service?" Reina's response revealed the character and humility that had defined her military service and continued to guide her despite her current circumstances. "I don't count lives saved, Master Chief. I just tried to make sure that everyone on my team completed their missions and returned home safely." The emotional weight of that statement settled over the group as they began to understand not just Reina's technical capabilities, but the personal cost of her transition from active combat operations to support duties. "Ma'am," said Captain Rodriguez, "with your background and achievements, you could have any position in advanced marksmanship training. Why are you working in logistics instead of preparing our best snipers for combat operations?" For the first time since the demonstration began, Reina showed emotion. Her composed expression softened slightly as she considered how to explain her choice to step away from the world of active combat operations. "Captain," she said quietly, "after my last deployment with Kraken Unit, I lost my spotter and several team members during a mission that went wrong. I decided that I had contributed enough to direct combat operations. I requested assignment to support roles because I wanted to help prepare other operators without returning to active shooting duties." The silence that followed was profound and respectful. Everyone present understood that they were in the presence of someone who had not only achieved extraordinary success in the most dangerous military operations, but who had also paid a personal price that led her to choose a different form of service. "Silent Hawk," said Petty Officer Davis, using her former operational designation with obvious respect. "Would you be willing to share some of your experience with our advanced students, not as a formal instructor, but just as someone who has been where they're training to go?" Reina looked around at the faces of operators who now viewed her with respect and admiration, rather than dismissal and condescension. "The most important thing I can teach you," she said gently, "is that precision shooting isn't about the number of confirmed eliminations. It's about bringing your teammates home alive." She picked up her medal and placed it carefully back in her jacket pocket. "Every shot you take should be about protecting someone else, not about personal achievement or recognition." As the training session concluded and the SEALs began to process what they had witnessed, Captain Rodriguez approached Reina with obvious gratitude and respect. "Silent Hawk," he said formally, "thank you for reminding us that expertise and dedication often work quietly in the background, supporting missions and saving lives without seeking recognition or glory. If you've ever made a mistake when judging someone based on their current role type, I owe an apology in the comments below." In the days following the extraordinary demonstration at the rifle range, word spread throughout the special operations community about the legendary sniper who had been working unrecognized as a logistics specialist. But despite offers of promotion, advanced instructor positions, and return to active sniper duties, Reina Vasquez made a choice that surprised everyone who had witnessed her remarkable marksmanship. She declined all offers to resume active combat operations or accept positions that would publicize her background and achievements. The morning after her identity was revealed, Reina simply returned to her logistics responsibilities, continuing to manage weapons and ammunition supplies with the same quiet professionalism she had always shown. But everything had changed in how the Naval Special Warfare Command viewed her and themselves. The SEALs who had dismissed her capabilities now approached their interactions with support personnel with completely different attitudes. She taught us that we don't understand the people who serve alongside us, Petty Officer Martinez told anyone who would listen. How many other support specialists have backgrounds that we've never bothered to learn about? Captain Rodriguez implemented new procedures requiring all personnel to document their complete military experience and specialized training, regardless of their current assignment. We can't afford to overlook capabilities that could enhance our operational effectiveness, he explained to his command structure. The facility's equipment maintenance area, previously seen as routine support function, became a place where SEALs sought opportunities to learn from someone whose expertise far exceeded their own. Reina found herself answering technical questions and providing guidance that went far beyond basic logistics management. "Ma'am," said Master Chief Peterson during a quiet moment between training sessions, "would you be willing to provide some unofficial marksmanship guidance to our advanced students? Not as a formal instructor, but just sharing some of your experience." Reina smiled with the same gentle patience she had always shown. "Master Chief, I'm here to support operations in whatever way is most helpful. If sharing experience helps prepare operators for successful missions, then I'm honored to contribute." The facility's training bulletin board, previously filled with course schedules and safety reminders, now featured a simple handwritten note: "Silent Hawk, 427 Eliminations, she walked among us." Word of Reina's background reached the military's premier sniper schools, where her former instructors remembered her record-setting performance and extraordinary achievements during precision shooting training. They sent commendations recognizing her demonstration and inviting her to join their instructor cadre if she ever chose to return to active shooting duties. But Reina's response reflected her commitment to the support mission she had chosen. "I'm grateful for the recognition," she replied, "but my place is ensuring that current operators have the equipment and support they need to succeed in their missions." Late one evening, as Reina completed her logistics duties and prepared equipment for the next day's training, she sat quietly in her office and pulled out the silver medal that had revealed her extraordinary past. The inscription, 427 Eliminations, confirmed, seemed to glow under her desk lamp, reminding her of teammates who hadn't made it home and missions that had required precision shooting under the most dangerous conditions imaginable. "Brothers," she whispered to the quiet office, "I'm still serving. Different mission, same commitment to bringing everyone home safely." The medal represented not just her combat achievements, but her ongoing dedication to supporting others in their service. Logistics work might not involve pulling triggers, but it ensured that other operators had reliable equipment when their lives depended on weapon performance. As she prepared to leave the facility for the evening, several members of the SEAL teams approached her with obvious gratitude and respect. "Ma'am," said the young SEAL, who had been most dismissive of her earlier, "thank you for showing us that heroes often work in the most ordinary places, making sure the rest of us are ready for extraordinary missions. Type, I will live with honor. If you believe that silence can hide an entire legend." This story isn't just about a shooting demonstration or a logistics worker who turned out to be a legendary sniper. It's about something much deeper that affects every organization, every workplace, and every team where people make assumptions about each other based on current roles rather than complete backgrounds and life experiences. Every day, in military units and civilian organizations around the world, there are people like Reina Vasquez, combat veterans working in support roles, former special operations personnel who chose quieter careers after completing extraordinary service, accomplished professionals who stepped away from high-profile positions to serve others in less visible ways after experiencing trauma or loss. We dismiss them because their current job titles don't match our expectations of what achievement and capability should look like. We assume that anyone working in a support role must lack the qualifications for more demanding positions. We forget that many people choose their circumstances based on personal healing, family priorities, or a desire to serve in different ways after experiencing events that most of us cannot imagine. The tragedy isn't just that we're disrespectful to people who have already given more than most of us ever will. The tragedy is what organizations lose when they fail to recognize and learn from the expertise that exists among people they've categorized as support staff. How many problems could be solved more effectively if we understood the complete capabilities of everyone on our team? Think about the people in your own workplace or community whose backgrounds you don't really know. The administrative assistant who handles complex problems with unusual competence. The maintenance worker who approaches every challenge with calm confidence that suggests extensive experience. The quiet colleague who never talks about their past, but always seems to know exactly what to do in difficult situations. What experiences might they carry from previous careers or military service? What skills might they have developed during years of high-pressure responsibility? What wisdom might they have gained from navigating challenges that most people never face? Reina's story reminds us that true expertise often chooses humility over recognition. People who have proven themselves in the most demanding circumstances often feel no need to advertise their achievements or demand acknowledgement for their capabilities. They know their worth isn't dependent on other people's recognition or validation. The SEALs who initially dismissed Reina weren't necessarily arrogant or deliberately disrespectful. They were products of a military culture that emphasizes current roles and specializations. But their willingness to learn and change after discovering her background shows that growth is possible when we're open to recognizing our assumptions. Tomorrow, you'll encounter people whose stories you don't know and whose capabilities might surprise you if circumstances ever revealed them. Before you decide who deserves respect and who doesn't, remember the quiet logistics specialist whose medal revealed 427 confirmed eliminations and a lifetime of service that saved countless lives. Because the person you're overlooking today might be exactly the expert whose past achievements made your current security and freedom possible. And they might be willing to share their wisdom if you're humble enough to ask and wise enough to listen. If you believe in stories that reveal the hidden heroes around us, share the story, and don't forget to subscribe to NL Touching Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten. Real people creating real stories, not mass-produced AI content.